Stream. Hey, there we are. Now, can you hear me? Is the screen up now? Well, I can see the screen on my end. Oh, great. Joyous Rising family. Okay, good. So I'm getting feedback. I hope you all aren't getting any feedback. This is my first time going live on StreamYard. Okay, all is good. So, Grand Rising family, I hope you all slept well. It's so good to see you all. As you remember or recall, last night, President Trump made an announcement. He made an announcement on yesterday, which was November the 15th, 2022. And that day is very important. Yesterday was a very looks and sounds great. I'm getting feedback. I don't know why. You see or hear, you don't see nothing? Can you hear me? Some people are saying yes, some people are saying no. I apologize for this, family. Okay, let's just go on. So yesterday, President Trump made a very, very important announcement. He announced this on yesterday, November the 15th, 2022, and that is important because on this exact date in 1777, that is when the Articles of Confederation were adopted. So the Articles of Confederation were adopted again on November the 15th, 1777 by the Continental Congress. And this document served as the United States' first constitution. So somebody said that happened in 1776. When I looked it up, it said 1777, so maybe it was 1776. Hello, Glenn. This is a very important announcement because this makes me wonder if this announcement actually was an announcement of our republic being restored. Somebody asked last night, is this the Nasara announcement? Is this announcement that our republic has been restored? Well, when you consider that he made this special announcement on the exact date that the Articles of Confederation were adopted and by the Continental Congress, and that this actually led to the Constitution for the United States of America, it appears, hello, good morning, that this announcement was indeed an announcement that the Republic has been restored. Why do I say that? Because one of the first things he said is America's comeback starts now. He said, America's comeback starts now. So we could assume or surmise that the Republic has actually been restored under President Trump. So I looked into Nasara law, and you all recall that Nasara is the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. It was signed into law in 2000, Grand Rising, under President Clinton. Now, rumor has it that President Clinton did not want to sign the Nasara law into law in 2000, but he was forced to by the military. We know that the National Economic Security and Reformation Act is a law for us here in the United States. But the global version of that was the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. Those acts were supposed to be announced from the Pentagon in the year of 2001 on September 11th, 2001. But the nefarious powers that were in control at that time did not want to make that announcement from the Pentagon. So all the gold that was supposed to be put forward to pay off our debts actually was removed from the towers. Certain people did not show up for work on that day, and the towers were imploded. Which, by the way, an FBI agent or former FBI agent made a deathbed confession recently that the FBI and CIA were involved in that demolition. And then there was a CGI of a plane sent into the Pentagon from which the announcement was supposed to come on 2001. So we never had the NESARA announcement. However, the farmers in the 1990s took the United States Incorporated to court, and they took the Federal Reserve banking system to court, which is an arm of the United States Corporation, which was the United States Corporation. Let me go back a little bit. Our bloodline families that took over our republic and then created a document that looked like a government, but it's a fake government. And they signed, they registered this United States Incorporated in 1871 as a nonprofit religious organization in Delaware. The Federal Reserve banking system is connected to that corporation, that unlawful, illegal entity, and has nothing to do with our republic. So when the farmers took the United States Incorporated to court, they did so because the United States Incorporated, the faux government, and the Federal Reserve banking system forced the farmers to plant certain seeds that were unhealthy. Y'all know the Monsanto seeds. They forced them to grow certain cattle. They forced them to do all type of nefarious things to make us sick, because the farmers are the backbone of this nation, and we give homage to the farmers. Now, when the farmers didn't do or didn't want to do anything that the Federal Reserve banking system or the central banks wanted them to do, they would confiscate their land. Some of the farmers went missing, so they were killed. Yes, keep talking to each other in the chat. What else happened? The farmers had usury or interest rates that were compounded on their loans that they could not afford. So they got tired of this, and they took the United States Corporation to court and the Federal Reserve banking system. They won their claims. The World Court determined that the banking system had done or incorporated unlawful means of banking towards the farmers. And not only had they mistreated the farmers, according to the council, but they had been nefarious or utilized nefarious unlawful banking practices on we the people in America and all over the world. So that led to the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. And the global version of that is the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. Once that happened, we were told that the farmers were told that when the republic is restored and returned, we would move from admiralty or maritime law back to constitutional law, and we would go to the gold standard. And once we go to the gold standard, the farmers' claims would be paid out. Once the farmers' claims are paid out, they will be paid first, then so will we the people. So we the people have to thank we need to make sure we thank the farmers for NESARA going into law. So that leads me to Donald Trump's announcement yesterday. He said, America's comeback begins today. Again, he said that on November 15th, 2022, which is the exact same day that the Articles of Confederation, Articles of, The Articles, of Confederation were adopted. America's comeback starts today. So it sounds like that could be the announcement of the republic being restored or the NESARA law being enacted. According to NESARA law, after the republic has been restored, which is the NESARA announcement, 120 days after that date, you're supposed to have new elections. Hi, Teresa. So you are supposed to have new elections. Therefore, I looked up 120 days after November 15th, 2022. And what did I come up with? March 15th, 2023. Now, this is wonderful news, family, because according to our republic, which is our organic, original government, the true inauguration of a president is supposed to happen March 4th of the year. So 120 days after that announcement on yesterday comes out to be March 15th, 2023. What can we suspect, or what can we surmise would happen between March 4th and March 15th, 2023? Could President Trump make an announcement again March 2023? Because what he said last night, he said, I'm putting in my bid for presidency. I'm putting in my bid for presidency. I didn't hear him say for 2024. I heard him say he put in his bid for presidency. I heard him talking about things about 2024, but he didn't say, when he said, I'm putting in my bid for presidency, that he was doing it for 2024. So can we suspect that something will happen in 2023 around March? This is interesting because I follow Derek Johnson, who is a military man that helps us decipher and understand or understand and overstand military law. So Derek Johnson has been telling us for a while now that according to military law, anytime you have a coup d'etat, like what we saw happen in 2020 when somebody overtook the elections and the government, the military then steps in and the military comes online or in front and they take control. According to Derek Johnson, the military law allows the president, and during wartime, which we are in a war against the deep state, to extend his powers, to extend his term. So the military put Donald Trump forward as the 19th president of the republic and gave him a separate inauguration. Okay, so he is still the commander in chief. And if you listen intently last night, he spoke of being the commander in chief. So why is this important? He spoke of being the commander in chief last night. He talked about Pelosi. He chided her. He said something about her being fired. Do you all remember that? He said Pelosi was fired last night. Why did he say that, family? This is one reason I think he said Pelosi is fired and he kept chiding her and making fun of her, because the Democrats have control right now of the Senate, but it looks like the Republicans are taking over the House. Does that sound right, family? Like the Republicans are taking over the House? So if the Republicans are in control of the House, and Nancy or her avatar is still in front as, being a speaker of the House, look at what can happen. Oh, he says she was out of the country. He said Pelosi is out of the country. So the House, they can't remove Pelosi. And how would they do that? If they prove that the United States taxpayers' money was funneled over to the ukulele, that country over there that Russia is fighting. If you say the name of that country on screen or on the channel, you could possibly get flagged. If they can prove that United States tax citizens, our tax money was funneled over to take care of, or funneled into the ukulele and back into the Democrats' pockets, that is a criminal offense. So again, if they could tie our taxpayer money going over to the ukulele and then going back into the Democrats' pockets, that is a United States offense. And then they can remove Pelosi, Biden, Harris, and any other Democrats that are tied to those criminal offenses, which will therefore allow President Trump to become the Speaker of the House. Once he becomes the Speaker of the House, then he can this move over into presidency organically because the Speaker of the House is second in line. Does that make sense? Frank says they have proof of everything. So this is how President Trump can move into presidency as in, hi, Sister Michelle, as the from the Speaker of the House and then become the president. So he said that Pelosi was fired. He said she was out of the country. He also said that America's comeback started on yesterday. So I'm surmising that that was indeed an announcement that the Republic has been restored. However, I like to hear your input. So he said she was fired and then said she was out of the country. The way he said out of the country makes me think of Gitmo, Rebecca says. So, yes, that's exciting. I thought he would be speaker. Yes, King James. People have been surmising that he would become speaker and then move into the presidency. So, somebody by the name of Cliff, and Cliff, I don't know if you're in the chat. You said you would be here. So I hope you're in the chat. I can't remember your screen name on YouTube. He sent me some comms. She's off world. Oh, somebody says, yes, she's shot all right. Fired. Oh, that's amazing. So Cliff sent me these comms. He said, Trump made many implications of the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. So he mentioned that we need a new election in his speech last night. He mentioned that we need economic security. Remember economic security as in oh my, as in the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. Oh, somebody says, what about the way he continued to drink the water? Watch the water. Did that have something to do with Carrie Lake? Her name sounds like water, it's Lake. Somebody in the chat let us know why he kept drinking the water. So he made an announcement about we need us needing economic security. I told you all that 2 days ago, I got an announcement that there was a Family Security Act, I think it was, or Family Security Bill now in Florida that gives each family member each family or person in a family, I can't remember, $4,000 per month. And it's called the Family Security Act. So this is interesting because it reminds me of the National Economic Security Act. He was thirsty. Somebody said he drank water because he was thirsty. So he mentioned we need new elections. He mentioned that we need an economic security. He mentioned that we need new judges. Now, you all know that underneath the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, you have to have new attorneys and new judges, or those that are still here practicing under their bar, the British Accredited Registry license, or their title of nobility. They have to be retrained in constitutional law if they want to come online and serve us under the Constitution. And the reason why you have to retrain judges, you have to retrain judges and lawyers is because when you have Esquire behind your name, you had to pass the bar, the British Accredited Registry, which means you work for the Queen. And when you have a title of nobility, it means that you're noble, you're working for the British crown. It means that you're above the common people. So according to the Constitution, you may not serve Congress or write laws for we the people if you have a title of nobility. Why? Because your allegiance is to the crown and not to we the people. So this is why he made a suggestion. What he said, we need new judges. So we will have to have new judges and new lawyers under Nassara law. He also mentioned constitutional law because we're now under admiralty law and maritime law, which is the law of the sea or law of the water. However, we need to return to the law of the land, which is constitutional law. A part of Nasara is that you must return to constitutional law, which is why he mentioned constitutional law. Now, I think this thing about water is so important, family. The thing about water is so important because even when you think about Roe v. Wade, the SCOTUS, the Supreme, what is it called? The Supreme Court of the United States overturned RVW. And I thought that was very, very interesting. I'm glad for me, because of my personal beliefs, that that happened. But I think it served a dual purpose because row, as in row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, that is not the person's name who was involved in that lawsuit. That's not her real name. That was a pseudonym that was given to her. Now, according to what I've studied and what I've researched, she lied. So she came to court and said that she needed a ABORTION because she was gang raped by a group of Black boys. So in that particular state, I believe it was Texas, that was unlawful to have an ABORTION. So she went to court and they gave her a pseudonym called somebody Roe. And then one of the attorneys, his name was Wade in the case. So I believe they gave that case the name Roe versus Wade, that name for a reason. But it came out later on that she lied. She had the laws overturned so that abortion became lawful in that state. And then that meant, so then abortion became lawful in many other states. It came out later that she lied. She said she was pressured to lie. She had never been gang raped. She had never been raped by a group of Black boys. All this was a lie. She was pressured by people who were rallying for abortion, these bloodline families. So it was something that they did just to push forward that agenda. Overturning RVW didn't mean that it was completely illegal. It meant now the states have to determine whether or not it would be lawful in your state, which makes sense because under the Constitution and originally each state actually served as a country in America. And the mayor, the governor was kind of like a president of your state or your country. So having RVW overturned meant that the states now made that decision, but it also was a signal or coded message from we're moving away from maritime water admiralty law and returning to the law of the land, from the law of the sea and law of the water being overturned, going back to the law of the land. Constitution, constitutional law, which is why President Donald Trump mentioned constitutional law in the Constitution last night. It's all tied together. He mentioned having secured elections for us in America and for the entire world. Let me put that up on the screen. The water is talking about admiralty law. He drank the water. He took it out. You see how all this is coming out? He drank the water. He took out maritime law. SCOTUS overturning RVW was overturning the law of the sea, law of the water, maritime admiralty law, and returning to law of the land, which is what the Constitution is. He mentioned new currency. Did you all catch that? He mentioned that we need new currency or a revaluation. He said things about currencies being devalued and that we needed a revaluation of currencies. So what does that mean? Hi, Tosh. A revaluation of currencies means that you're going to have a global currency reset. No longer would the USD be the reserve currency of the world. So all the countries, 209 countries, have agreed behind the scenes to leave the United States dollar and return to gold. That concept is called Project Sandman. You can see that. You can see that all of the exporting nations have left the United States dollar and returned to other commodities, including gold. This is why countries had their gold repatriated back to them. This is why the BRICS nations or the BRICS Union left the USD and went to gold. So what happened was when Russia went over to the ukulele to destroy the deep state over there and dismantle the deep state, the mainstream media said that they were creating a war against the ukuleleans and that they were there unlawfully and that it was a shame and you can't speak out against that war, and if you do, then you'll get strikes on your YouTube channel and you'll get strikes all across all social media platform, because they don't want you to know that the ukulele, Ukraine, actually is the territory of Russia. They went in there to dismantle the deep state and get rid of all those things that were occurring over there. And you all know that number 46, the Biden crime family, also has some nefarious activities going on over there. So when Russia went over there to clean out the deep state, the United States Incorporated, or the deep state from all over the world that was in power, put sanctions on Russia for doing that because they didn't appreciate Russia exposing the ukulele. Well, Russia clapped back, as we say in the hood, clapped back on that tail and said, you can put all these sanctions on us that you desire. We will just leave the United States as a reserve currency and create our own currency backed by commodities such as gold. This is why the Russian ruble is the strongest currency in the world right now. It is backed by gold. It was one of the first currencies that was backed by gold. Andy Schectman from Miles Franklin, the CEO of Miles Franklin, and I actually had that conversation on our last podcast on November the 8th. So once Russia left the United States dollar as the reserve currency and went to other commodities, including a basket of currencies and the ruble backed by gold, they led the whole union to do the same. That was Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Once the BRICS Union, the USD as their reserve currency, and went to the basket of currencies, including the ruble, backed by commodities such as gold, other countries did the same thing. The next country that did that, let me see. I'm trying to get your comment up there. The next country that did that was, yes, some countries have left to go back currency. Absolutely. Once the BRICS nations did that, Saudi Arabia made an announcement, excuse me. Saudi Arabia made an announcement that they were leaving the United States dollar and going over to switching to join the BRICS Union, and they would be called Sal BRICS. The reason why that's so important, family, yes, the military is the only way that Saudi Arabia did that is because Saudi Arabia had an agreement with the United States. That agreement was that we protect the Saudi princes and the Saudi empire, or Saudi Arabia. They give us the oil in exchange for our protection, and we will force every other nation that trade for oil to use the United States dollar. That made the USD the world reserve currency, also known as the petrodollar. When Saudi Arabia left the United States dollar, remember, what made us the world reserve currency was our agreement with Saudi Arabia. When they left the USD and joined the BRICS Union, and then it became Sal BRICS, that was huge, because now that meant theoretically and practically that the USD was no longer the world reserve currency. So what happened after that was that all exporting nations began to leave the USD. It was BRICS, then it was Saudi Arabia, then it was Egypt, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Malaysia, Indonesia. And all these nations just started joining until every single exporting nation joined this union. That was humongous because when the BRICS nations moved away from the USD, that was 40% of the global population. That was 3.22 billion people moved away. 40%, that's almost half of the globe moved away from the United States as the reserve currency, the USD. So that was good news. And then that meant that the United States dollar, the USD, came flooding back. All our dollars came flooding back into our nation, which is one of the reasons why you see inflation continually going through the roof. It's just going higher and higher because once those dollars are dumped back into our country, we're the only ones using them. They have lost their value. As a matter of fact, the USD has lost 98.2% of its purchasing power since 1900. It's lost almost all of its purchasing power, whereas gold has increased in value exponentially, no matter what you see on the US debt clock, okay, because they're still suppressing those prices. No matter what you see, the spot prices are of silver and gold. Gold is about 1,700 or almost 1,800 an ounce. Silver is about $22, $23 an ounce. They're still suppressing the prices so that you won't know that gold is the standard. This is why Andy Sheckman and I discussed on November 8th on our podcast, countries are buying up gold. As a matter of fact, last quarter alone, which was the third quarter, that includes July, August, and September, 400 tons of gold was purchased. 400 tons of gold was purchased by central banks last quarter alone. And then articles go on by Reuters and other articles. I can't think of, there were a couple articles that actually mentioned this. They said a substantial amount of gold were bought up by mysterious whales that has not been publicly reported. Who are these mysterious whales? Are they billionaires? Are they millionaires? Are they family offices? Who are these billionaires and mysterious whales that are buying up gold? We already know that countries have bought gold, that central banks are buying up gold. So when you see this happening, you know that the United States dollar has lost its value. And this is why people keep saying prepare. Inflation is going through the roof. We don't have the same purchasing power with our dollar. And so Donald Trump mentioned last night that we need a revaluation of currencies. So the dollar is being devalued or is decreasing in value. The global currency reset would just mean that you will have a reset of the whole system. It's different from the Great Reset that the New World Order powers or the elite had planned. What they had planned was a global coin or some type of monetary system that everybody has to use, and they will surveil you or survey you to see or determine to detect every single one of your purchases. Also, they had determined that you will have a chip in your arm and in your forehead, and you could scan this chip from your body and make purchases. That was the Great Reset. The Great Reset has been neutralized. It's been taken down in exchange for the global currency reset. The global currency reset is a complete annihilation of the monetary system as we know it. At the end of every empire, this happens. And I confirmed this with Andy Sheckman, who's been studying gold and empires for years. I confirmed this with other, not Keynesian economists, but Austrian economists. I confirmed this. At the end of every empire, they rack up the debt, they spend the money, they print as much money as they can, or currency or fiat as they can, and then they completely demolish that system and move to sound system, a sound monetary system, or in other words, they move to gold and silver. That will be the global currency reset. Demolishing this system along with this financial system all together and then constructing or going back to sound money. Because according to the Constitution, a dollar is defined as a fixed weight in silver. According to the Constitution, yeah, that was the mark of the beast. Money is silver and gold, which is why Alexander Mooney, the representative of West Virginia, a Republican, introduced under 45 in 2018 House Resolution 5404 to define the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. He was preparing us. He was letting us know what's going on. And then in October of 2022, this year, October the 7th, I think it was, he introduced House Resolution 9157, and that too was to determine the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. Now, people have said to me, before that bill can be taken seriously, it has to be passed into law. It has to pass. I'm on the fence about that, whether or not it has to be passed. Thank you so much. Because the Constitution for the United States of America already defined the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. So I don't know if you even have to have that bill passed. We already know that silver and gold, that's lawful money. So in America, you have several states that have already either introduced legislation or passed legislation making gold and silver lawful currency or lawful money. This is in alignment with the Constitution for the United States. So once the dollar has been devalued, we will have a revaluation based on our country having a significant amount of gold. If you all follow Bix Weir from the Road to Ruta, he has a YouTube channel called roadtoruta.com. I'm Road to Ruta, and he has a website, roadtoruta.com. He talks about how there's a lot of gold stored in the Grand Canyon that nobody knows about except for these nefarious beings. He says this is the real reason why the Federal Reserve was created, because you were only supposed to print dollars based on the amount of gold that's backing the dollar. Well, these nefarious bloodlines didn't want us to know about all this gold stored in the Grand Canyon. Did you know there are also pyramids in the Grand Canyon, tombs, gold, treasury, vaults? Because my conjecture is because this is Egypt. If you look on my community section, I have a map, the old ancient map of America. Egypt was here, Israel was here, Morocco was here. All these other countries were right here, the Garden of Eden, right here in America. But they don't want us to know that. So according to Bix Weir, there was a plan all along to, at some point, destroy this monetary system and return to gold once their time is up. Now, President Trump is the only president, according to my research, that sent notification to the Federal Reserve inquiring how much was in those vaults. So he asked for information regarding how much was in those vaults, what exactly were in those vaults. And I believe that at some point, he probably made sure that they got that information to him. So we have gold stored in the vaults. We have gold all over this nation and gold in other nations that will be put forward to pay off the debts of the world. Gold, again, will become the standard. So you demolish the old system, fiat system. At the end, that happens again at the end of every empire, and then you return to sound money. That is the global currency reset. That is the reset of the entire global monetary system, whereby gold becomes the standard. And when that happens, all currencies will be revalued against gold and against all the resources that are in each country. So it would be gold, silver, palladium, platinum, and any other resources. And when that happens, all of currencies will become one-to-one to each other. Somebody said portions of the Grand Canyon are guarded by the military. That's very, very good information. So I see you all talking about Banknote World and eBay. If you purchase currencies on eBay, it's a good idea to make sure they come with their certificate of authenticity. Banknote World is one of those companies that will provide a certificate of authenticity. So again, the revaluation of currencies would mean that once those currencies in different countries have been devalued, ours have been devalued because people have moved away from the USD and because of all the printing, the quantitative easing, all this, this racking up all the debt. But other nations' currencies have been devalued through war. So let me back up. Somebody's mentioning the RV in terms of Iraqi dinar. If you hold Iraqi dinar, Vietnamese dong, Zimbabwean zim, Malaysian currency, Indonesian rupiah, Indian rupee, Zimbabwean zim, and some other Venezuelan bolivar and some other currencies, this is very important for you. Andy Schectman confirmed this. We were talking about how the new premier of Iraq said he's about to revalue the IQD, their currency, against the USD. If you're holding it and they revalue it, you stand to become millionaires. So what happened is the United States corporation would go into countries, cause a war, fund both sides of the war, mind you, and then decimate their country, decimate their economy. And by doing that, it would devalue the currency. So a lot of your military people, high up military personnel would buy those currencies when they had been devalued through war, when they were low, such as Kuwait. Let's talk about what happened in Kuwait in 1991. In 1991, they went into Kuwait and they started a war, funded both sides of the war, decimated the 1990s, decimated the country. Military personnel, politicians, people high up, CEOs of banks bought the currency when it was devalued. Then America went in after the war, reconstructed their economy, built up the roads, built up the country again, and then their currency went up in value. It revalued. So all those military personnel that were high up and all your politicians that had bought the currency when it was low, once the country came back and started thriving again in 1991, the currencies revalued. Those people holding the Kuwaiti dinar went to the banks, exchanged it for the new rate, and became multimillionaires overnight. Okay, so this was information that was kept away from us, we the people. We didn't know. But our family, our galactic family members who are here from different realities, or they're here from different timelines, or maybe even the future version of yourself is here helping too. They decided that it was time for us to live an abundant lifestyle, which is what the creator intended. So they and the creator made sure that this type of information came out so that we, the people, can become wealthy. So again, if you don't believe that these currencies revalue, please consider that they revalue. The Kuwaiti dinar revalued in 1991. There's an article out there. If I remember, I will put that article in the description section for you. That talks about the Kuwaiti dinar revaluing. That's how they became millionaires and very wealthy. Okay. So a lot of them will have to be removed from Congress anyway, because they don't really write laws for us. They're just making themselves wealthy, and because they have Esquire behind their name. So a great majority of Congress people and people in government have Esquire behind their name, which means they are lawyers. This is not to say anything disparagingly against lawyers. I love lawyers. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to win some cases that I've had to have. I found myself in court. My statement is important because if you have a title of nobility like Esquire, you may not make laws, you may not serve in Congress because you really work for the British Crown. Well, now Queen Elizabeth is officially gone. She's dead. So that whole empire network has to be destroyed and come down. So that was my quick, or actually long version of what the global currency reset and revaluation of currencies, what those are. When these currencies revalue, because they remember most of these countries have already gone to gold. Okay, when the official announcement has been made that they revalue, you will be able to go to the bank and get a return on your investment based on the new valuation of these currencies. Okay. So Donald Trump also mentioned last night, what else did he mention? That nobody can find Biden. He asked, where is Biden? Nobody knows where he is. Did you all catch that? So that was interesting because he was supposedly at the G20 summit meeting last night or yesterday that was held in Indonesia. Now, this is very interesting because I got an article just hours before President Trump made his announcement last night that this was breaking news, breaking news. Biden cancels his trip to the G20 summit meeting based on reports that he has severe medical conditions or he's had severe health conditions. That's what the article said. Where is Biden? He didn't go to the G20 summit. Yeah, that's what I saw. That he didn't go to the summit. I couldn't find your, there you go. So if it is true that he is very ill, perhaps we will have an announcement that something happened to him. But then I found an article that said after Biden attend several meetings at the summit, he could not attend the gala because he wasn't feeling well or something like that. So which is it? Did he attend the G20 summit or not? Because the first announcement was breaking news that he did not attend the summit based on being very ill or serious health conditions. So in case you missed it, family, he didn't go to the dinner, but instead went back to his room because he wasn't feeling well. Thank you, Roger. So he's not feeling well. Something is going on. If you missed this earlier in the podcast, I was saying that President Trump made this announcement that he was putting in his bid for presidency. He did mention things about 2024, but I did not hear him say for presidency in 2024. He said, I'm putting in my bid for presidency. Now, I know the mainstream media said he's doing it for 2024. All the tickers on every single podcast said he's putting in his bid for 2024 presidency. But I didn't see him put 2024 in the same sentence as I'm putting in my bid for presidency. He made that announcement on yesterday, Tuesday. Remember, I've always told you all Tuesdays are very, very important. Tuesdays are days of announcement. It is a day of war. So this is why you see big announcements coming out on Tuesdays. He made this announcement on Tuesday, November 15, 2022 at 9 p.m. that he was putting in his bid for presidency, but he opened up that speech saying, America's comeback begins now. So people have been asking, was that the announcement of the restored republic? Is that a Nasara announcement? Why did he choose November 15th? Possibly because November 15th, 1777 is when the Articles of Confederation were adopted by Continental Congress. And this document served as the United States' first Constitution. It was enforced between March 1st, 1781 until 1789, according to what I read, when the present day Constitution went into effect. So what happened was when those bloodline families usurped authority from the Republic, they created their own Constitution. So they created a government, which was really just a corporation, a nonprofit religious organization filed in Delaware. They created this fake government and incorporated it, and then created a Constitution of the United States Incorporated, which is not to be confused with and is separate from the Constitution for the United States of America, our republic. So you have Constitution of and Constitution for. Constitution of is the nefarious Constitution tied to the United States Incorporated. Constitution for the United States of America, the republic, is our republic, our lawful government. So what happened was, again, they created their own unlawful government, which is not, they had no right to do, in a constitution, which was made up of statutes and codes and policies. And this is why they use the language where they say things like legal. It's legal. If it's legal, it's tied to the Constitution of the United States of America Incorporated and their Constitution and the United States Incorporated. Legal is different from lawful. Lawful is something tied to the Constitution of the Republic. So you have statutes and codes that make things legal. Who enforces statutes and codes and policies? Your policy enforcers, also known as police officers. And this is why Donald Trump said when he was the official commander-in-chief or 45th president of the United States Incorporated, that police officers have to be retrained. Remember, he said we have to weed out all the bad apples, and then we have to retrain the police officers because policy enforcers are not lawful. They're enforcing policies of the unlawful, illegal Constitution or unlawful Constitution of the United States Republic and the United States Incorporated. So the military is now in control. They have been in control for a while. And at some point, we hope we hear an announcement. Now, I guess a more overt announcement that the Republic has been returned. For us who know how to decode, we truly, truly understand and understand that the Republic has been restored, that we're now on Constitution law. As somebody mentioned, he drank the water, which means he overtook or took over Admiralty law, the law of the sea, or maritime law. We saw the SCOTUS overturn RVW, row your boat versus Wade. That was tied to Admiralty law, maritime law. So when they did that, they overturned it and returned us to the law of the land, which is the Constitution. Now, on Monday, I thought this was important to bring out too. On Monday, there was a breaking news article that came out and said Trump failed to comply with subpoena according to the J6 committee. He failed to comply with the subpoena because they subpoenaed him. The House committee investigation for J6 Capitol Hill insurrection said Trump has failed to comply with his subpoena for documents and testimony. As a matter of fact, he sued the committee on November 11. That's 11/11. You all know that 11/11 is important. It's important to know that they will do things on very important dates. So he sued the committee November the 11th as a way to challenge both the legitimacy of the committee, and he claimed that he should be immune from testimony because of about the time that he was president. So he sued the committee, and they're upset because he fails to comply with their subpoena. Now, he is still the president. So I'm assuming that when you're a president, you can't have a subpoena. I'm not sure why he exactly did that. He sued them, but I'm glad he did. That was breaking news on Monday, and that came right before his announcement on Thursday. So we see a lot going on, family. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I think I got everything so far. We also talked about how the House can actually put Trump in as Speaker of the House because the House looks like the Republicans have overtaken the House. You all can let me know if I'm right or wrong. It took rows are eggs. Okay. It took so long for them to make a determination what happened on November the 8th. I don't know why, because the state of Florida made our determination within hours. How we had won. We knew about the governor. We knew about the sheriff and all of our officers that were elected. So why it's taking states this long is beyond me, unless they are doing something nefarious. We did report a couple of days ago that the National Guard were on the ground, and they were put on the ground in 14 states to secure cybersecurity with elections. I had made an announcement that I voted early, and some people were confused about that. They were angry. They told me I should not have done that because it could have been some type of nefarious activity going on. But I didn't do a mail-in ballot. I actually went in person in person, and there were people there that were watching the ballot. So the National Guard were put on the ground to ensure cybersecurity. It has taken some states a long time to determine who has won in their states, and that really confuses me. So the last I saw was that the Democrats have overtaken the Senate. They're in control of the Senate. Is that right? Is that still right? That's what I saw last. And the Republicans took over the House. Now, according to what my research is, if the Republicans can prove that United States taxpayer money was sent over to the ukulele, or I could just say the Ukraine, if they can prove that the taxpayers' monies have been funneled into the Ukraine and back into the pockets of the Democrats, then they can officially remove the Democrats in power, because this is a criminal offense. They can remove Biden, they can remove Harris, which he's not there anyway, or the actor posing as Harris and the actor posing as Biden, and they can remove Nancy, although President Trump said that she's out of the country. And once they remove all of these Democrats, then they can allow Trump to assume position as Speaker of the House, and then he can ascend to the presidency organically. So this is what I've been told. And you all know that the 17th letter says that a clean house is necessary. So if the Republicans have the House, that means that they've cleaned it out and that they can remove Pelosi, and then President Trump can then take place as the Speaker of the House and then move organically into the presidency, because the Speaker of the House is second in line. And that's about it. So I just wanted to decode how I saw what happened on yesterday. I believe it was a very important announcement. He's letting you know that he's putting it in his bid for president, but for me, he's already president. I believe that, or I know that he was talking to us about the devaluation of the USD and how we need to have a revaluation. He also mentioned gold several times and a golden era. So he was letting us know that through the comms that we are on the gold standard. So somebody says Biden can't write his name in. So all these things to me was letting us know that the military is in control and that everything is still following the plan. Trust the plan, family. The military is in control. Okay. Remember the art of war. Appear weak when you are strong. Appear strong when you are weak. Some people said last night, oh, Trump seemed tired. That was a blah speech. He put me to sleep. It wasn't the normal Trump that we're used to. Oh, what else they said? He looks so weak. You appear weak when you are strong, because then that way you keep the enemies off balance and they don't know what's happening. So you can't just come out and let them know your plan. You can't show them your hand, because then they will just, continue on with their nefarious ways. And we can't have a revaluation of currencies until they've been completely taken out, because all they would do is, once we revalued our currencies and we became wealthy, they would just steal it and re-empower themselves. So things have to happen in time. Another thing that's happening, as far as I can see, is that the people in power desire for us to stop relying on them to do everything. Family, we're going to have to get up off of our tushies and make our voices heard. It's good sometimes to be frustrated. It's good at times to say, I've had enough. It's good at times to say, I can't depend on this leader, because you have power within yourself. I have power within myself. We are sovereign beings, so we can make our voices heard. We can do certain things to plan and prepare for what is to come. Some of us went out and voted. I'm trusting that all of the things that happened nefariously will be overturned, because remember, the National Guard was put on the ground to ensure cybersecurity. So it doesn't matter what they say happened. We know the truth, that they are watching, the powers that how do you say, the benevolent powers that are in control, they are watching, and they will make sure the nefarious things have been overturned. So again, President Trump made a lot of announcements that things are looking well, that we're still in control. We haven't heard anything about military votes like we did in 2020. No, we haven't. Are there any questions or comments, family? Can all Democrats just go to California and stay there? A lot of people love California. They don't want the Democrats to take over there. They love it because it's beautiful. What else? Has lots of mountains and good fresh mountain air. And the thing about California is everything you need is right there in that state. You can go to the north and up in the mountains and have all the snow and ice that your soul desires. You can go and see rainforests. You can go to California and see water. You can have lots of sunshine. You don't even have to leave the state if you didn't want to. So a lot of people want those, thank you, nefarious beings completely out of California. Thank you. Somebody said, oh, from Malaysia. Hi. Oh, peace, Sister Maria. You're here. You made it. Welcome. Californians, stay out of Texas, they're saying, because a lot of time people want to flee the results of what Democrats have done to their state, but they bring their Democratic ideologies with them and behaviors with them. And so the people that are conservative are saying, don't do that. Don't bring your ways into our state. What about Kamala? Well, last night we were having a discussion about Kamala Harris. And one of the things we discussed is that she did not lawfully step in as a VP. She is not supposed to be a vice president or serve as the president because according to the Constitution, you must be natural born, not native born. You must be natural born on the land, which means, of course, and she was born in here in America, but to be natural born, one of your parents have to have been born on these lands and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So it's not just about birth, but it's also about, or proximity, but it's also about allegiance. Kamala Harris's parents were actually from two different countries. The father is allegedly from Jamaica and the mother is from India, which is why when she was, I think when she served before she ran for vice president, she was called the first Asian to ever serve in that capacity, because most countries say that you are what your mother is. And so if her mother's Asian, then she's Asian. In America, I believe they say you are what your father is. So that would mean she's Jamaican. So either way, she's Jamaican and or Indian. So let's say she's both. Her allegiance is to the country of her father and the country of her mother, because you must be subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Although she was born in Oakland, California, allegedly, she was not born naturally here because her parents are not from here. And even if she was, then she was not subject to the jurisdiction of California. Therefore, she cannot serve as vice president. So the reason why the forefathers did that was to ensure that whoever became president, they will always have the best interests of the people, of the American people at heart. If you have an allegiance to a foreign country by birth or by proxy through your parents, then you will not serve or do what's in the best interest of we Americans. So she was unlawful. So we talked about that last night. And when you understand or overstand constitutional law, or you understand constitutional law and you interview and research certain constitutional experts, such as, I can't think of the constitutional expert who actually made this announcement. Let me look up Kamala, not lawful. What was his name? Does anybody remember who he was? I cannot think of the person who said this. It was one of the constitutional attorneys. But anyway, we mentioned that last night. And we also mentioned that, who was it? There was a Kennedy, Robert Bouvier Kennedy, I think his middle name is Bouvier Kennedy, had told us in a comm that Kamala Harris was actually a man named Kamal Arush, I think he said. So there's a lot going on about her that's questionable, but the forefathers again put in stipulations in the Constitution to ensure that the only person who served as president would have our best interests at heart. And this is also why Donald Trump said when Biden Harris allegedly won through that coup d'etat, he said, I heard that she's not even qualified. That's what I heard. And people kind of laughed at him because they think he doesn't understand and overstand constitutional law. And because most people don't know what the Constitution says, he was letting us know that she was serving unlawfully. What I noticed about that fake inauguration, was they used a Bible or a book that was a satanic book, a Luciferian book. It was turned upside down as well. And I noticed a lot of colors that were red and gold or red and yellow, which I don't know, just my mind just automatically went to the CCP. But I reported a few months ago that the CCP actually has been overturned. What was it, like 400 million people defected from the CCP. So they're no longer in power. They have no more control. But President Trump made a comment about Kamala not being lawful and not being qualified. This is also why there was some question about Obama. Was he qualified to serve as the president? Many people say he was born in Kenya. If that is the truth, he can't serve here because he's not a natural born citizen. Okay. He would have an allegiance to Kenya, not to we the American people. And that's why I believe it was Donald Trump and others kept asking for his birth certificate. It took a long time for them to produce it, but they did come up with a fake birth certificate or some type of birth certificate anyway. This is also important when you think of motu proprio. Motu proprio was a letter that was sent to President Obama in 2014 or 2015 via Pope Francis' attorney. And that letter said that President Obama was to cease and desist and step down. The letter stated that President Obama was not the lawful president of America, the Republic, but that he was the president of the United States Corporation. Pope Francis went on to say that every entity tied to the United States Corporation, which usurped the Republic in 1871, must cease and desist. He mentioned the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, the Federal Reserve Banking System, and other nefarious entities tied to the corporation and said, you must cease and desist. He told lawyers, judges, CEOs of banks, and all different type of people, police officers, to cease and desist immediately. Why? Oh, somebody said he is from Hawaii, Kenya. Oh, I didn't know there was a Hawaii, Kenya. Thank you for that. Why did Pope Francis state that all these entities must cease and desist and step down? He did that because he was letting us know that their time was up. Every reign must come to an end. The nefarious bloodline families that had usurped authority from our republic, their time was up. So Pope Francis was letting Obama know this, and he was letting we the people know this. Now, the Moors started making this announcement because the Moors were the first people here. They were the people that were here, or people classified as Black, the copper-colored people, were the first people here in America when the Europeans came over here. And we welcomed them here so that they can conduct business here and they can escape the tyranny that was going on where they were. I have a good friend by the name of Lloyd Michael Douglas L. He goes by Sharif Ali on Facebook. He did an extensive broadcast with me earlier this month, or was it in October? It's either a few videos ago, and he's over the YouTube channel Moors in America. And in his broadcast, the name of it is Who Are the Moors? He talked about how the copper colored people found here by Christopher Columbus were actually the original people of America, and how we were lied to about having come from Africa. Now, some people may have come here from Africa, but the majority of the copper colored people were already here. And when you look at the accounts of the Europeans who came here, they talked about the copper colored Indians being tawny, which is dark. He talked about them having kinky hair. The colonists, or I don't want to call them colonists, the Europeans that came up here talked about how these people looked and had high cheekbones. He talked about what they ate, how they talked about how they dressed. So this is very important information because we've been lied about so many things. If you look at the 1828 Webster's definition of American, you will see it is the copper colored people found here in America by Christopher Columbus, but now applied to Europeans. If you read Dr. Ivan Van Sertima's book, They Came Before Columbus, he talks about how we were already here. Now, why did he say they came before Columbus? If you go over and look at my video, Who Are the Moors, with Brother Douglas, Lloyd Douglas Michael L., he tells us that the copper colored people were actually commissioned by pharaohs to come to America, but he said it was one big landmass. So pharaohs actually commissioned the copper colored people to go to different parts of the world and start civilizations. So he traces our bloodline all the way back to Atlantis. That's a very fascinating video that just educates you or re-educates us about who the copper colored people are. So in that motu proprio letter, Pope actually tells Obama to tell the Negroes or the African Americans who they are. And this is why President Donald Trump says African Americans need to learn their history, because if they don't learn their history, they will continue to be lied to and taken advantage of. Now, when we had the Moroccan Empire over here, the Europeans came here, they conducted commerce here. We had treaties with them, one of which is called the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and we acknowledged them as being their own nation. You can look this up. President Donald Trump said that the Moroccan Empire acknowledged us as our own nation, which they did. They acknowledged the Europeans as the United States of America. Okay, the way you properly spell that is lowercase UNITED, lowercase STATES of capital A, America. That's the way I was trained by my mentors. They were the United States of America. So they had their own nation. And this is why every presidency pays homage to the Moroccan Empire. You will see that they mention the Moors. They also have the flag of the Moors, that red flag with the green 5-pointed star, which represents, I think, truth, justice, freedom, peace, and there's something else I'm missing. There are 5 points to the government or to the culture of the Moroccans, or the people classified as Black. So President Trump said that they were the first to acknowledge us as our own nation, but they always pay homage to the Moroccan Empire. They have 2 flags in the White House, the red, white, and blue flag, and the red flag with the green 5-pointed star. This is why you see people take pictures underneath both flags. You saw Obama take a picture underneath both flags, including that Moroccan flag, and you saw you saw Hillary Clinton. You can even look that up now and see that. So again, they pay homage to the Moroccan Empire, going all the way back to their first presidents. George Washington paid homage to the Moroccan emperor. Excuse me, not only did he pay homage to him, but he paid a tribute to the Moroccan emperor. So these are truths that have not been told to us. We really need to be retaught history because they've lied to us so long. What did you say? Arizona former sheriff had his people research Obama and prove that his birth certificate and social security numbers were fake. The social security number belonged to a deceased man from Connecticut. Thank you so much, Sister Lynn Edwards. Love, thank you, Brother Timothy L. You came through. That's one of them, our Morris brothers, or Moore brothers. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Thank you. That is what our 5-point star represents. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And this is so important because the powers that were in control kept us divided. They kept us angry. They made us think that we were all enemies to each other. But that is not the precept and the concept of our government. The republic being restored is the organic government of the Moors or the Moorish Empire. Okay. And the people here that came over into America because we welcomed them here. That is our lawful government. Our government is based on love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice for all, family. And that ties right into, thank you again, that ties right into the law of oneness, a universal law. The first universal law is the law of oneness. And that law simply states, we the people are the true and de jure lords of the land. Thank you, the Al Moroccan Times. So the law of oneness states that we are all one. We all came from source or the creator, and we all will return to source if we ever decide to leave out of this physical body. As such, we have source living within us, and therefore we are interconnected. We're one. We are one and the same. There's also a law of rhythm that says everything has a vibration or a frequency, and anything that I do, say, think, or feel goes out into the universe. It ripples through the law of rhythm. It ripples out into the universe, and it affects each and every one of you. It affects our brothers and sisters all over the world, regardless of your hue, your skin complexion, your belief, your political affiliations. It affects the animals, the insects, the grass, the water, the sea, the earth, the clouds. Everything is interconnected, family. That is the law of oneness. And this is why we need those principles, and we need to live by those guiding principles. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate you, Ami. Oh, Creator bless you. So let's stay encouraged. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, family. We are one. Let's behave as one. Oh, getting back to, is that a more on the back of the $2 bill? I don't know. Somebody answer that, please, in the chat. Is that a more? We were once considered to be the Aboriginal people or indigenous people on the planet. And then through Walter Plecker and the Census Bureau, they changed our classification from indigenous or Aboriginal to, what they changed it to? Colored, and then Negro, and then Black, and then African American. And some people say Jesse Jackson was commissioned for changing us from Black to African American. At one point, it was not a good thing to be called Black. When I was growing up, my aunts and uncles would not allow you to call them Black, because Black actually means bleak, blank, void, absent. It means dead. So you have to look at the etymology of words. According to Black's Law Dictionary, Black is a legal status, meaning you have no standing in law, which is why they have us, thank you, to call ourselves Black. Now, it used to be something, I feel like I'm inside the Moore Science Temple of America again. Awesome. We didn't like being called Black. We knew that, we just knew that it was something that was not a good thing. And so we rejected that classification until James Brown came out with that song, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. So they they do those type of things and run programs and pay people to do those type of things in order to get people to buy into their nefarious agenda. So then when we started calling ourselves Black, essentially what we were saying is, I have no legal standing, I'm a slave. And this is why Black people, one of the reasons Black people did not get reparations, because Black is not a nationality. It is not an ethnicity either. It's a legal status that means you have no standing in law. But that's okay, because the Washita Empress Verdiasi Gaston El Tunica Bay, or Turner Bay, actually sued the United States corporation right after, at the same time as the farmers, and she won her claim that they stole the land. These bloodline families stole the land from we the people and from the indigenous people here, and she won a claim for $85 quadrillion that's supposed to be paid to the Moors. And what I heard is, thank you, Black is dead in the eyes of the law. Thank you. I love having the Moore family here. According to my mentor, that is not just people that are brown, but it's to all our family members, because they stole from us and we allowed certain people here on the land. So Michelle or Michael is Obama's handler. Okay, I want to just put up some final comments before I leave out of here. We've been here for a while. Hebrews were Moors, as Moranos and Moriscos. Thank you, David Bell. I appreciate you. Oh, you're welcome. It is my pleasure. It's my pleasure to share any information that I can. Thank you so much. It's the RV this spring. You know, no man knows the day nor the hour, just like we don't know when the crisis is going to return. I don't know the exact timeline, my friend, but it seems like it's happening very soon with that announcement that was made last night. Goodbye, Brother Roger. Also, it seemed like it's going to be soon because the premier of Iraq mentioned that he is revaluing the IQD, his money, his currency, against the USD. He just made that announcement like a week or two ago. And he said that the former administration was very corrupt, but that under his administration, he was going to fight corruption. He was going to be concerned about the needy. Thank you. And he was going to work with other countries to bring back stolen money. Remember, money is, thank you, is actually gold and silver. So that was the stolen money dinar, or was it gold and silver? I don't know. But he said, I'm working with other countries to bring back my stolen money. And I'm working with central banks to restore the IQD against the United States dollar. Terrific timestamp network, formerly TOL. So it looks like, I mean, he made that announcement that he's revaluing the IQD. So it looks like the revaluation will happen, at least in Iraq, very, very soon. Again, once that happens and the currencies revalue, family, we will be able to go into the banks. I don't know about exchange centers. Thank you, Queen B. I love you. But I know we'll be able to exchange those currencies for the correct value and make a great return on our investment. I encourage you, buy silver. Yes, I encourage you, please, please, family. Thank you, Sister Mary. Please start working on your humanitarian projects. I don't know that you have to have if you have to have a humanitarian project, but I think it's the right thing to do, considering we are all one and we love each other and we desire to help each other. So start right now. If you're bored and you don't know what to do and you're tired of waiting, work on your humanitarian projects, detail it and outline, because when you do that, you write it on paper and then attach emotion to it. Get excited about it, dream about it, create pictures and vision boards about what you're going to do for humanity. Talk about it with trusted friends and family members. And what you do, what that is doing is putting it out in the universe, and it will allow it to become a reality. This is how we can help bring this on quickly. So if you're bored, don't worry. Start creating those humanitarian projects. Purchase you some silver and gold while you can. Wholesalers are running out of product. Andy Sheckman of Miles Franklin said he has not seen anything like this, where wholesalers are running out of product since 2008, when it took 3 months for people to get their product. Remember, last quarter alone, central banks bought up 400 tons of gold in the amount of $20 billion. last quarter alone, and a significant, substantial amount of people and mysterious whales bought up gold that has not been publicly reported. Wholesalers are running out of product because of that. Also, diesel fuel. We're running out of diesel fuel. We have a supply chain issue. The other day, I reported how they're about to do massive layoffs. Amazon, Intel, I don't have my list in front of me, a lot of tech companies. In fact, an article came out that said, is this the end of the tech boom? Many, Walmart, many companies are right now laying off thousands of people. Get as much dinar as you can afford. Remember, Donald Trump said in his interview with Fox News, look up on YouTube, Donald Trump interviews Fox about Soleimani. Towards the end, he talks about how we're going to make all these countries repay us. When the interviewer asked how, he said, we're already forced South Korea to pay us 500, I can't remember if he said million or $1 billion. And we have billions of dollars of Iraqi money sitting in our bank right now. If the Iraqi dinar was not going to revalue, we wouldn't have it sitting in our banks. But we've heard from the premier in Iraq that he's going to revalue the IQD. So having said that, get your currencies together, whatever you can afford. While it's available and while it's inexpensive. Zim is very inexpensive. Again, at the top left-hand corner of the Zimbabwean Zim note, which is a bond, it is a promise. It says, promise. This is a promise to pay the bearer upon demand. So once you move back to the gold standard, we'll be able to redeem those Zim bonds and to get a return on our investment. Again, get silver and gold as you can afford it. Wholesalers are running out of product. A lot of your silver and gold companies or dealers are telling you it's going to take months to get some of your product in, or they're telling you that they don't have certain things in right now. And the reason dealers can't get it is because wholesalers don't have it. So as you can, go online, look for a wholesaler. I highly recommend Andy Schectman. You can, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So do not get paper, silver, or gold. You can email Andy by going to info@milesfranklin, I'm going to type this in, .com. Ask him to send you a list. Did I spell it right? Miles Franklin, a list of his inventory and the prices, and then he'll take your order from there because he's taking them now through email. And let him know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you, and you will get the best prices in the industry. Remember, Andy has been doing this for 30 plus years, about 33 years. He's been working with his dad since he was 19, and they've run a reputable company. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. And in all these 33 years, they've not had one complaint. Do I have a link for Zim? Which is very reputable. And he's also certified to, he's also certified to sell product through the United States Mint. You've used Miles Franklin. Awesome. And it comes in a box that this isn't necessarily it, but it comes in a box like this, so people can't tell what it is. Okay, so it'll come in a box and nobody can tell what it is. Oh, for the Zim, 100trillions.com. I'm sorry if I'm yelling, family. That's one place. What else, guys? Great American Coin Company. Company.com. And who else? 100 Trillions, Great American Coin. Banknote World. Banknote World. I think it's banknoteworld.com, but it is called Banknote World. Banknote World also is on eBay. So if you decide to purchase something from eBay, then make sure you get a certificate of authenticity. Blessings to you too, family. Oh, hi, New York. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad you all have used Miles Franklin. He's a very nice guy. Andy Schectman from Miles Franklin is a very nice guy, family. I met him through the Silverfest. And Silverfest is a festival that Chris Marcus does from Arcadia Economics. I was able to meet up with Chris through his Silverfest 3 years ago. We became great friends, and that's how I met Andy Scheckman. He comes on our podcast every other Tuesday. He will be here this Tuesday to give us an update of what's going on in the precious metals market. So I am an affiliate with Miles Franklin. I do appreciate his authenticity, that he's a family business. I appreciate the fact that all of his workers he's known since he was in elementary school. They all have a great reputation, and personal reputation and business reputation. That's important to me. eBay, Safe Dinar, and Cephlix, somebody is saying you can buy your currencies from. I love you, family. I am so glad that you joined me here today. Yeah, we can't wait to 2024. You know what? Even if they're telling us to wait to 2024, you all. Oh, okay. Interview Gene Decode. I will, if you have a link or you know how I can get in touch with him, I would be happy to. Or give him my name. Let him know about my podcast, and I would be more than happy to have him here. You bring this into your reality. Oh, yes, please hit the like button, family. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, and let's share the joy, share the love, share the peace, friends, because we over here keep our vibrations high, family members, friends, and family. And we do all that we can do to encourage each other because, you know, we're tired of listening to dismal news. You're welcome. We are here to ensure that everybody's vibrations stay high, because as your vibrations are high, you will affect the entire planet. That's about it today, family. I'm getting ready to end the broadcast. Are there any final words? Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing information with each other, because we need each other to survive. Half of California is red. You're welcome. You are welcome. You watch this. Oh, I'm so glad it calmed your nerves. That's what we're here for, family. We're in this all together. Where we go one, we go all. Wow, that's amazing. Since 1996. We're in this together. I love you, family. Great show. Thank you, Sister Charlotte. So stay encouraged. We'll come back. We'll convene sometime again soon, maybe later this evening or tomorrow. Put your comments and your thoughts in the comments section. Anything that I missed from Donald Trump's speech or anything that I need to cover, you all may want me to cover something that I haven't covered on my podcast. I love you too, New York High Fairy Tales. If you let me know, I'll do my best to cover whatever it is that we need to discuss. All right, family. Yes. Oh, you just subscribed. Awesome. Go back and look at the video and let us know your thoughts. So that's about it. Did somebody say something about the Jews? Cover Trump being a Jew. Okay, I'll see if I can find. Thank you. Put that in the comment section too, so I can remember that. All right, United States. You guys are so funny. All right, family. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It was my pleasure to be here with you all today, joining in this podcast. Thank you for taking out so much of your valuable time. I really appreciate that, and I don't take that lightly. I trust that I said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to go out and create the most magnificent, most amazing, beautiful reality that you desire and deserve. Mwah, 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 mwah. Peace, family. Take care. Let's make this a great day. I'm out. I'll let you get your last words in. Yes, yes. Peace, family.